Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Waters Technology Innovation Exchange. The next session is a startup presentation. Our next speaker is Chuck Teixiera. Chuck is the founder and CEO of RZR. It's an enterprise software firm focused on delivering intelligent, automated data privacy solutions. Welcome, Chuck.
Great. Thanks, Pam. Good afternoon. I want to first off by thanking Waters Technology for giving me the opportunity to speak about our journey here at RZR and the development of our breakthrough product, Data Watchdog. The journey actually started in my previous role as a senior executive for one of the world's largest financial institutions. I've spoken previously at conferences about the state of the data problems that I faced there and the sprawling data estate that resulted in me creating the world's largest wholesale banking big data environment, which was 10 petabytes of data, over 50 core banking systems, 50 credit systems, numerous payments, trading, reference data systems together. And if that wasn't challenging enough, we were also moving that data into the cloud, which at the time was the largest enterprise-wide migration to GCP. What I learned about that experience is that data is a set of stages in a life cycle. You start with discovery, you go to ingestion, you tag the metadata, you measure the data quality, you link that data together, you enrich it, and then you index it so that you have a reusable data asset, which you can then distribute for visualization, analytics, or building apps around it. That understanding of the data journey made me realize there was no one solution that solved this data lifecycle end to end. And if you wanted to engage in a firm that did it all for you, they were large, cumbersome, and expensive. I wanted to create products that were easy to use, that intelligently automated key components of this data journey, and would allow large global organizations to access all their data around the world, automate the compliance of the data access so they can retrieve the data immediately, and be as unobtrusive as possible so that the underlying data wasn't moved, altered, or manipulated in any way. Part of the challenge that I found was that in order to have perfectly curated data, it was so time-consuming and cumbersome that large organizations never got around to even doing 10% of that. All of this resulted in a recognition of the environment that I was facing and many of my competitors were facing, which is data sets are getting larger and companies want to start to monetize all of their data. Tools are becoming more sophisticated, especially with the developments of machine learning and artificial intelligence, which is counterbalanced by the fact that individuals are becoming more concerned about how their data is being used, which is resulting in governments, regulators around the world becoming much more aggressive in the types of legislation that they're implementing. When I was building my big data environment, the single biggest obstacle I faced was around data privacy, data sharing, and data ethics. The ability to move data from all the different jurisdictions that I was interacting with, which in that case was 65 different jurisdictions, and being able to migrate it into a single environment and actually use that data commercially. To give you a context of how big that problem is, financial institutions individually spend between 20 to 50 million a year just on data sharing and data privacy. It's scary to think that GDPR is just the tip of the iceberg. And as you can see from this chart, GDPR's cost of implementation is estimated at $9 billion. Well, what's really scary is that the cost of the implementation of the California Consumer Privacy Act is estimated to be 6 times that at over 55 billion. And that's just one state. There are 16 other states in the US that are implementing similar data privacy legislation, but you'll know they'll all be different, as well as there's a bill in the US Senate to implement federal level data privacy legislation. The estimates for the data governance space is that the spending by firms is going to more than double in 6 years from $50 billion in 2016 to $120 billion in 2022. The regulatory landscape is actually truly getting scary. I've talked about GDPR and CCPA, but when you look around the world, many other nations are implementing new data sharing regulations, data privacy. And we haven't even gotten into the world of data ethics. The US, the UK, Canada, and France are all implementing new standards on data ethics that companies are going to have to implement. When I was building the big data environment, my thesis at the time was that there should be a tool out there that you could access your data instantly in a compliant manner. The system should know who you are, what your role is, your responsibilities, your location. It should know all the policies in your firm that you have to adhere to from around the world. And it should be able to ask you a few questions to assess your intent, like, what are you using the data for? How would a client feel if they knew you were using the data in this way? Does this pose a regulatory or audit issue as a result of using the data this way? What surprised me was that when we conducted a global search, we identified that there was no product out there that would meet the needs of an organization with the size and complexity that we had. What was even more surprising is the big cloud providers weren't able to help us, and the big four offered to help us, but they would have to build things from scratch. We recognized there was a significant gap in the market and an urgent need to solve it. And that's how Wicked RZR was born. When we took a step back, we thought about what our vision was. And what we realized was we didn't just want to be a data privacy software. We wanted to be a company that would help an individual like myself 5 years ago when I landed at this global financial institution and help organizations unlock the potential of their data. So what is our solution? Data Watchdog is an intelligent automation tool that wraps around all your data in your organization. It's a single store for all your data governance rules from around the world. It utilizes machine learning to act as an intelligent gatekeeper to ensure that data is only used for its intended purpose, and it maintains a permanent record of the data usage activity for compliance regulators and auditors. What makes Data Watchdog unique? It operates around all your data sources, whether they sit in the cloud or on-premise. So for a large global multinational who has thousands and thousands of data stores, there isn't a tool that exists out there that actually acts as a skin around all those different data sources. And that's one thing that Data Watchdog does. The intelligence capability allows the tool to ask users additional questions so it can assess intent before it starts to apply those data governance rules. And most importantly, what Data Watchdog doesn't do is it doesn't transform or duplicate your underlying data. There are many tools out there right now that create what they call a variant twin, where they'll copy over the data. That is not a sustainable model for a large multinational company that has petabytes and petabytes of data. We believe that Data Watchdog provides significant economic benefits to our customers. It saves them millions of dollars automating manual data governance processes. It helps by unlocking the value of their data immediately. There's a time value of money. A lot of the methods currently for data sharing or data privacy approvals require you to do assessments. And in some cases, they might take several weeks, it might take several months. But in other cases, it could take up to a year before you get approval to access that data for your use case. My firm belief is that that data should be available immediately by applying the rules in an intelligent and automated manner. And finally, it helps protect organizations from the ever-increasing powers and level of fines that they're facing. GDPR alone means organizations can be fined up to 4% of their global turnover. To illustrate how stark that is, in the year before GDPR was implemented, the total of all the fines issued by the ICO was £3 million. Post-GDPR implementation, the first fine that the ICO issued was £183 million to British Airways, and the second fine was £99 million to Marriott International. So now you can see that these regulations really do have teeth. I'm extremely proud of the team's development of Data Watchdog and the numerous technical hurdles that we have overcome to deliver what I believe is a breakthrough solution in the data enablement space. I'm excited to talk about it, and if you have any questions or are interested in hearing further about Data Watchdog, then please reach out to me. You can reach me on my email address that you see in front of you or LinkedIn. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.